2 months ago, I was a sophomore in college. I was 20 years old. My biggest problems were my Marketing 101 midterms, whether I could afford to fix the clutch on my bike, and how to get this girl named Sarah to text me back. God? God was a fairy tale. God was something my grandmother whispered about when she was holding her rosary. God was for people who needed a crutch because they couldn't handle the real world. I didn't need a crutch. I had a Kawasaki Ninja. I had a fake ID. I had my whole life ahead of me. Or so I thought. My name is Jason. And on the night of October 12th, the calendar on my wall stopped mattering. On October 12th, I died. Let me take you back to that night. You need to understand the mindset I was in, because it matters. It matters because I wasn't a saint. I wasn't praying. I wasn't ready. It was a Tuesday. It had been raining in Seattle for 3 days straight. That gray, depressing drizzle that eventually turns into a slick sheet of oil on the roads. I was at my parents' house for dinner. It was supposed to be a quick visit, do some laundry, eat a free meal. But my dad, he knew how to push my buttons. He started in on my grades, then my friends, then the fact that I hadn't been to church in 4 years. I snapped. I said things I can't take back. I told him he was brainwashed. I told him I didn't want his life. I grabbed my helmet, slammed the front door so hard the glass rattled, and stormed out to my bike. I remember the cold rain hitting my neck as I strapped my helmet on. I was shaking with adrenaline and rage. I didn't care about the weather. I just wanted to go fast. I wanted to outrun the voice in my head that told me I was being a jerk. I hit the highway doing 80. The speed limit was 55. The rain was coming down in sheets now, blurring my visor. The streetlights were just streaks of orange and white. I felt powerful. I felt untouchable. I remember approaching the intersection at Mill Creek. The light was green. I didn't slow down. Then I saw it. A delivery truck, turning left. He didn't see me. His headlights swept across my vision, blinding white light filling my helmet. I didn't even have time to brake. I remember my hands tightening on the handlebars, a reflex, useless. The sound wasn't like a crash in the movies. It was louder. It was the sound of the world ending. Metal tearing, plastic shattering, and a dull, wet thud that I felt in my teeth. And then, silence. Not quiet. Silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like being underwater. I opened my eyes. I was standing in the middle of the intersection. The rain had stopped. In fact, everything had stopped. The air was still. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking, but they were clean. No blood. No scratches. "That was close," I whispered. My voice sounded flat, like I was speaking in a recording booth. I turned around to look at the truck, to yell at the driver. That's when my reality shattered. My bike was gone. Or it was there, but it was in pieces. It looked like a crushed soda can wrapped around the front bumper of the delivery truck. Steam was hissing out of the radiator. Debris was scattered everywhere. Shattered plastic fairings, glass, oil. And lying on the wet asphalt, about 20 feet away from the truck, was a body. It was wearing my jacket. It was wearing my jeans. One boot was missing. The helmet was cracked open. The leg was bent at an angle that made my stomach turn. I walked toward it. I wasn't walking though. I was gliding. I didn't feel the pavement under my feet. I didn't feel the cold rain, even though I could see it falling. I got closer. I looked at the face inside the broken helmet. It was me. I can't explain the horror of seeing your own dead body. It's not just scary. It's wrong. It violates every instinct you have. I tried to scream, "Get up, Jason, get up!" But the body just lay there, broken and still. Blood was pooling around the head, mixing with the rainwater, running into the gutter. "No," I said. "No, no, no. This is a dream. Wake up." I heard sirens. I looked down the road and saw the flashing lights of an ambulance and a police car tearing toward the intersection. They arrived in seconds. I watched two paramedics jump out. I knew one of them, a guy named Mike, who went to my gym. I ran up to him. I grabbed his arm. "Mike! Mike, I'm right here. I'm okay. Tell them I'm okay." My hand went right through his arm, like he was made of smoke. I froze. I stared at my hand. I tried again. I swung my fist at the side of the ambulance. Nothing. No impact. No pain. Mike and his partner were working on my body. They were cutting my jacket off. One of them was doing CPR. I watched my own chest cavity being compressed, rhythmically, violently. "Come on, kid," Mike was saying. "Stay with us." "I am with you," I screamed. "I'm standing right next to you." But he couldn't hear me. No one could. A crowd was gathering on the sidewalk. Some people were filming with their phones. I wanted to smash their phones. I wanted to shake them. "Stop filming. Help me." Then, the monitor on the defibrillator made a sound. A long, flat tone. Beep. Mike stopped compressions. He looked at his partner. He shook his head. He looked at his watch. "Time of death, 10:14 p.m., he said. Those words hit me harder than the truck had. Time of death. It was final. The tether snapped. The moment he said those words, the scene around me began to change. The colors of the police lights, the gray of the road, the green of the trees. It all started to desaturate. The world was turning into an old black and white photograph, and then it started to dissolve like mist. The ground fell away from beneath me. I wasn't standing on the road anymore. I was floating in a gray void. Panic set in. Real, primal panic. "Hello?" I shouted. "Is anyone there?" The darkness grew thicker. It wasn't just the absence of light. It was a presence. It felt cold, damp, lonely. It felt like the depression I had struggled with in high school, but amplified by a million. I felt a tug, a magnetic pull from behind me. I turned, and I saw a tunnel. But it wasn't the bright, happy tunnel you hear about on talk shows. It was swirling with gray clouds, and I was being sucked into it. I tried to fight it. I tried to swim through the air, flailing my arms. "I don't want to go. I'm not ready. I'm 20 years old. Please." But gravity, or whatever this force was, didn't care. I was pulled backward, faster and faster. As I moved through this tunnel, I started to hear things. Voices. Not distinct words, but the murmur of thousands of conversations. And then, flashes. My life review didn't happen in a nice, orderly movie theater. It happened all at once. I felt the pain of my mother when I lied to her about where I was going. I didn't just remember it. I felt it. I felt the disappointment in my dad's chest when I mocked his faith. I felt the humiliation of the kid I bullied in 6th grade. It was excruciating. In this place, there were no secrets. Every thought I had ever had, every selfish impulse, every time I chose to be cruel because it was funny, it was all exposed, and it burned. I thought, this is hell. I'm going to hell. The darkness became suffocating. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I was just a collection of regrets hurtling through a cold void. I screamed out, not with my voice, but with my soul. "God, help me!" I hadn't prayed in years. I didn't think I had the right to call on him. I was the guy who made fun of Jesus freaks. I was the guy who said religion was a cult. But in that moment, when the darkness was closing in, the name of God was the only thing I had left. "Jesus!" I screamed. "Please!" Immediately, instantly, the motion stopped. The gray fog evaporated. The cold vanished. I was standing on a floor that looked like gold, but transparent, like glass. And ahead of me, there was light. I can't describe this light to you. Our language is too limited. Imagine if you took all the love you've ever felt, the love of your mother, your first love, the love you feel when you see a puppy or a sunset, and you distilled it into a physical substance. That was the light. It was brighter than the sun, but I could look right into it. It was singing. I know that sounds crazy, but the light had a melody. It was a low, humming vibration that resonated in my chest. I walked toward it. I wasn't afraid anymore. The shame of my life review was still there, in the back of my mind, but the light was washing over me, telling me I was safe. It looked beautiful from up there, blue and white and fragile. "Look at it," Jesus said. I looked. I saw the continents. I saw the lights of the cities. "I love them," he whispered, and I felt his pain. It was a physical weight. "I love them so much. I died for them. But they do not know me. They know about me. They use my name as a curse word, or as a logo for their political parties, or as a way to make money. But they do not know me," he pointed at North America. "The time of grace is closing, Jason. The shadows are lengthening." I looked at where he was pointing. As I focused, my vision zoomed in. It was like Google Earth, but instantaneous. I saw churches, thousands of them, big ones, small ones. I saw a megachurch with a rock band and smoke machines. The people were jumping up and down, singing. It looked like a concert. Jesus looked at it and wept. "They are singing to their own emotions," he said. "They seek a feeling, not a father." I saw a small church where the pastor was yelling about politics, his face red with rage. Jesus turned away. "He speaks of Caesar, not of the kingdom." Then he showed me people, individual people. I saw teenagers staring at their phones, their eyes glazed over, scrolling through endless videos, numb, anxious, depressed. I saw men working 80 hours a week to buy cars they didn't need, ignoring their children. I saw a world that was distracted. "They are asleep," Jesus said. "They are driving at 80 miles an hour in the rain, just like you were, and they do not see the truck coming." He turned back to me. His face was stern now. The smile was gone. This was the judge. This was the King of Kings. "I am sending you back, Jason, and I am giving you a message. It is a burden. It will be heavy. People will mock you. They will say you hit your head. They will say you're crazy." "I don't care," I said, and I meant it. Standing in his presence, the opinions of Facebook trolls didn't matter. "I'll do whatever you say." "Good," he said. "Because the warning is for now." He raised his hand again, and the timeline of the world appeared in the air between us. It was like a golden ribbon of light, marking the passage of time. I saw the year 2024. I saw the months passing. "We are here," Jesus said, pointing to October. Then his finger moved forward. November, December. I watched the timeline move. I saw the holidays pass. I saw the lights of Christmas. I saw the ball drop on New Year's Eve. People were celebrating, drinking, kissing, promising to do better in the new year. "They say peace and safety," Jesus said softly, "but they do not look at the foundation." Then his finger stopped. He pointed to the end of January. The timeline turned dark, not black, but a chaotic, swirling red. "Watch," he commanded. I leaned in. I looked at the end of January. Suddenly a tremor went through the vision. It wasn't an earthquake in the ground. It was something else. I saw the financial markets flicker, numbers dropping so fast they blurred. I saw the news anchors on the TV screens in the vision looking terrified, papers flying. I saw a confusion hitting the streets. But the scariest thing was the churches. I saw the doors of the churches flying open and people running out. They weren't running out because of a fire. They were running out because they were empty. They were running out because the feel-good gospel they had been fed for 20 years didn't work when the real storm hit. The sifting, Jesus said. It begins at the end of January. He grabbed my shoulders. His grip was tight. His eyes locked onto mine. Jason, listen to me closely. You are going back to October. You have 3 months. You must warn them. Warn them about what? I asked, my voice trembling. Is it a war? Is it a market crash? Is it a virus? It is the shaking of everything that can be shaken, he said. It is the exposure of the false foundations. He leaned in closer. Tell them this. The party is over. The time of playing church is over. At the end of January, the reality sets in. He showed me a vision of what would happen to the people who were not ready. It wasn't fire and brimstone. It was something worse. It was confusion. It was a complete inability to know what was true. I saw good people, people I knew, swallowing lies because they hadn't spent time in the truth. They are not ready, he whispered. They are fat on entertainment and starving for truth. And when the hunger comes, they will eat poison. My stomach twisted. Lord, they won't listen to me. I'm a kid. I'm a mess. I don't call the qualified, he said. I qualify the called. You will go back. You will tell your father you are sorry. You will heal your family. And then you will speak. He stepped back. The light began to swirl around me again. The pull of the earth returned. That heavy, sucking gravity. Wait, I shouted. Is there hope? Can they stop it? There is always hope, he said. But the window is closing. Tell them to wake up. Tell them to look at the calendar. Tell them January is the turning point. He raised his hand one last time. Go. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command that moved the universe. I felt a slam in my chest, like a sledgehammer. The golden floor disappeared. The stars vanished. The face of Jesus faded into the white light. I was falling fast. Down into the cold, wet dark. I heard the sound of the siren again. I heard the rain. And then, pain. Excruciating, white, hot pain. Have you ever been pulled out of a warm bed and thrown into a freezing lake? That's what coming back felt like. But multiply the cold by 1,000 and add the sensation of being crushed by a freight train. The transition wasn't smooth. 1 second, I was floating in the presence of absolute love, suspended in a golden reality where fear didn't exist. The next second, I was slamming back into a broken shell. The pain was immediate and total. It wasn't just in one place. It was everywhere. My legs, my ribs, my head. It felt like my body was a cage that was too small for my soul. I remember gasping, a ragged, wet breath that felt like breathing in fire. I opened my eyes, but I couldn't see anything except harsh, stinging light. I tried to move, but I was strapped down. There was a tube down my throat. I started to panic, choking, fighting the restraints. "He's awake! Get the sedative!" someone yelled. I felt hands on me. Not the warm, healing hand of Jesus, but frantic, nervous hands. Doctors, nurses. "Jason, calm down. You're in the hospital. You've been in an accident." I wanted to scream. I know, I was dead. I saw him. But the tube choked me into silence. A nurse injected something into my IV, and the darkness came back. But this time, it wasn't the gray void of the afterlife. It was the drug-induced blackness of a coma. I was out for 3 days. When I finally woke up for real, the tube was gone. The room was quiet. It was raining outside again. Always raining. My mom was sleeping in a chair next to the bed. My dad was standing by the window, looking out, his shoulders slumped. He looked 10 years older than the last time I saw him. I tried to speak, but my voice was a wreck. "Dad?" He spun around. The look on his face broke my heart. It wasn't anger. It was pure relief, mixed with disbelief. He rushed over and grabbed my hand. He was crying. My dad never cries. "Jay, you with us?" "I'm here," I whispered. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." He shook his head, choking back tears. "Don't. It doesn't matter. You're alive. That's all that matters. The doctors, they said you shouldn't be here. You were dead, Jay." For 12 minutes, they called it. I looked at the clock on the wall. October 16th. I had been gone 3 days, but in my mind, the conversation with Jesus had just happened 5 seconds ago. The warning was burning a hole in my chest. The end of January. The shaking. I knew I had to tell them, but not yet. I couldn't just blurt out, "Jesus told me the world is going to shake in 3 months," while I was hooked up to morphine and monitors. They'd put me in the psych ward. So I waited. The recovery was brutal. Broken femur, 3 cracked ribs, a collapsed lung, and a concussion that made the room spin every time I moved. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the spiritual weight I was carrying. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the timeline. I saw the finger of God pointing to the end of January. I saw the churches emptying. I saw the confusion. The doctors called me a medical miracle. They said my brain function shouldn't be normal after 12 minutes without oxygen. They said I should be a vegetable. One night, about a week later, a doctor came in to check my charts. Dr. Evans. He was a nice guy. Skeptical. Scientific. "You know, Jason," he said, looking at his clipboard, "I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never seen anyone come back from flatlining that long without severe damage. You must have a guardian angel." I looked at him. "It wasn't an angel, Doc." He paused, looking over his glasses. "Oh?" "It was him," I said. "I met him." Dr. Evans smiled politely, the way you smile at a child telling a story. "The brain releases a lot of chemicals when it's shutting down, Jason. DMT endorphins. It can cause vivid hallucinations, bright lights, tunnels. It's a natural biological response." "Does a biological response tell you the future?" I asked. He stopped writing. "What do you mean?" "I know what's coming," I said. "He sent me back to warn you. He sent me back because we're running out of time." Dr. Evans cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable. "Well, whatever you saw, try to rest. You need to heal." He walked out. He didn't want to hear it, and I realized then, this is how it's going to be. People will rationalize it. They will explain it away with science or psychology. They will sleep right up until the moment the floor drops out. I went home on October 24th. My apartment felt foreign. My video games, my textbooks, my movie posters, they looked like artifacts from a different life. I sat on the edge of my bed and looked at the calendar. November was approaching, then December, then January. The countdown had begun. I started reading the Bible. I hadn't touched one since I was 12. But now, it wasn't a boring history book. It was alive. Every page seemed to be shouting at me. I read about the shaking. I read Hebrews 12. "Yet once more I shake not the earth only, but also heaven. And this word, yet once more, signifieth the removing of those things that are shaken, as of things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain." That was it. That was exactly what he showed me. The shaking isn't just an event. It's a filter. It's a sifting process. Let me explain what he showed me about January. I need you to get this. I need you to stop multitasking and listen. The vision of the end of January wasn't about a nuclear war, though the world is dangerous. It wasn't about a plague. It was about a crisis of foundation. Jesus showed me that millions of people, good people, church-going people, have built their lives on sand. They've built their peace on the economy. They've built their joy on their political party winning. They've built their faith on a pastor's personality or a worship song that gives them goosebumps. But they haven't built on the rock. They haven't built on Him. And at the end of January, something is going to happen that pulls the rug out from under those false foundations. I saw a global event, a trigger. I don't know if it's a financial collapse, a cyber attack, or a geopolitical crisis that spirals out of control. The details were blurry, maybe because they don't matter as much as the result. The result was fear. I saw a wave of fear sweep across the Western world specifically. And when that fear hits, people are going to reach for their usual comforts, and those comforts won't be there. The bank account won't make you feel safe. The news channel won't give you answers. It will only give you panic. The motivational speaker pastor won't have a sermon that can handle the weight of the reality. And that's when the falling away happens. I saw people walking away from God because they felt He had failed them. They'll say, "I prayed for protection and I lost my job." Or, "I went to church, so why is this happening?" They treated God like a vending machine. Put in a prayer, get out a blessing. And when the machine breaks, they leave. But I also saw something else. In the middle of the darkness of that vision, I saw fires burning. They were small fires, scattered all over the map. They weren't the big megachurches. They were living rooms. They were basements. They were coffee shops. Jesus zoomed in on one of these fires. It was a group of young people, maybe my age, sitting in a circle on a floor. No smoke machines, no lights, just open Bibles and tears. "This is the remnant," Jesus had said to me. "When the shaking comes, the structures built by man will crack, but the kingdom built in the heart will stand unshakable." He showed me that this January event is actually a mercy. I know that sounds twisted. How can a crisis be a mercy? Because it wakes people up. If you are sleeping in a burning house, the kindest thing I can do is scream at you and shake you awake, even if it scares you. God is about to shake the house because He loves the people inside too much to let them burn in their sleep. So, here we are. It's nearly November. I'm talking to you now, 2 months before the deadline. I'm just a guy who crashed a motorcycle. I don't have a theology degree. I don't have a podcast. But I have a memory that burns like fire. I have the sensation of His hand on my shoulder. I have the sound of His voice saying, "The party is over." You might be asking, "Okay, Jason, so what do I do? Do I buy gold? Do I build a bunker? Do I move to the mountains?" No. That's building on sand again. That's trusting in physical safety. Here is the instruction. This is what I felt He was downloading into me when He touched my forehead. You need to ask yourself a hard question, and you need to be honest. If I lost everything tomorrow, my money, my status, my comfort, would I still love Jesus? If the answer is I don't know, then you are on sand. You need to dig deeper. You need to move from knowing about Him to knowing Him. Talk to Him, not religious prayers. Real talk. Sit in your room and say, "Lord, I'm scared. I'm empty. Show me who you really are." The deception that is coming in January will ride on the back of confusion. The media, the social algorithms, they are designed to keep you in a state of anxiety. Disconnect. Jesus told me, "My sheep know my voice." You can't hear His voice if you have Netflix and TikTok screaming in your ears 24/7. You need silence. Silence is where the strength is built. Stop looking for the cool church. Stop looking for the church that affirms your lifestyle. Look for the church where the Spirit of God is actually moving, even if it's 5 people in a garage. You need a community that knows how to pray when the lights go out. You need people who aren't playing games. I know this sounds heavy. I know you probably wanted a nice story about meeting Grandma in heaven and seeing pearly gates. I wish I could give you that. But I can't lie to you. I can't sit here with my second chance at life and not use it to warn you. The timeline is moving. October is gone. November is here. I look at people in the grocery store now, and I just want to grab them. I see them worrying about the price of eggs or arguing about a football game. And I want to say, do you not see it? The storm is on the horizon. But I know I can't force anyone. Love doesn't force. Jesus didn't force me to come back. He commanded it, but he gave me a choice to obey the mission. I'm obeying. I'm putting this video out there as a marker. When January comes, when the news cycle loses its mind, when the fear tries to grip your throat, I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that you were warned. Not to scare you, but so that when it happens, you won't panic. You will say, okay. God said this would happen. He is shaking the dead things off of us. I will stand. I'm Jason. I died on October 12th. And I'm telling you, the king is coming. But first, he is cleaning his house. Don't be found sleeping at the end of January. Wake up. Please, just wake up.